In the last video, I mentioned creating a prefab. Let's go over what exactly a prefab is. So a prefab allows you to take a game object that already has properties adjusted and components attached to it, be replicated over and over again, and then changed individually if necessary from then on out. So for instance, take this square. We want to create this as a prefab. We do this by dragging the square game object down into the prefabs folder. So now you see the square is colored green and it's in our prefabs. So we want to duplicate this square to give ourselves another option. We're going to drag the prefab square, and you know it's a prefab because it is now blue in our hierarchy, and we're going to add another square into our scene. So when we drag that and drop it in, we're going to get square 1. Now you can't see it because it dragged it exactly where the original square was placed. So they're actually on top of each other right now. So what we want to do is move square 1 over. Remember, the center is at 0, 0. So since this is negative 3.5, so it's to the left of our screen, we're going to change it to positive 3.5, so it's to the right. And you can see the same exact square as we had before, with all the same components: the canvas and the number. So essentially, a prefab is a game object that you've already adjusted that you can add into the scene as many times as you like without having to adjust it again. And to create that, you just drag your game object down into the prefabs folder. So if we wanted to have multiple players, we could drag our player down into our prefab, add the player back up. Let's adjust this as an offset, so let's make this 1. And then if we were to play the game, now we have 2 players moving simultaneously. Let's go ahead and delete the player that we added since we don't need it. So that's an example of a prefab. And we applied that to our square. Now to make things a little bit easier, I'm just going to adjust the names within the individual squares. So this square, I'm going to say, since it's our original, left square, so I know that it's the square on the left. And this one, instead of square 1, I'm going to say right square, so I know that it's the square on the right hand side. Same with the number text. I'm going to say left number, and I'm going to say right number. Now if you notice when we played the game, the right number does not have a random number generated. It remains 0. Let me go ahead and show you that now. That's because the random number is picked within the game object, and we do not have a public text variable available at the moment. So we're going to go into our script and add that. And you can see that what used to say number changed to left number. Since I changed it in the hierarchy, it adapts in the inspector. So let's go into our scripts, into the game manager script. Now we're going to have a third number that's generated randomly. We have our question number generated randomly, we have our option number, and we're going to have a second option number. But in order to make this less confusing, let's go ahead and change option number to be left number so that we know it represents the left option. You can see that option num has now turned to red because it is now named left number. So go ahead and make those changes. Not only should we change the variable name for the integer, we should also probably change it for the text. So for the option text, as opposed to having it say option, let's have it say left option, and we have to change it down in our start function as well. So what was once option is now left option. Now that we adjusted the naming of our variables, we can go ahead and add in our right option and our right num. So copy the text, paste it, change it to right option. So now we have a right option text, which will be associated with the second square we added in. We're also going to copy left num, paste it in, and we're going to change it to right. So now we have a new variable that is also an integer. We're going to take the 2 lines of code that generate our left random number and then associates that left random number to the left option text. Go ahead and copy that. We're going to paste it. I'm going to leave a little bit of space for now so you can see the difference. And we're going to choose everything that says left now to right, since we already put our variables in. So this is going to be a right number is now randomly selected, also 0 through 10. We're going to change left option to be right option. So that is our right option variable now, which is the text. And we're going to change left num to right num. So now we have our left number being randomly generated and applied to the sprite on the left-hand side. And now we have our right number being randomly generated and applied to the sprite on the right side, but not applied yet. We have to do that within Unity. So go ahead and save the script, go back into Unity, and when you go into your empty game object that's associated with your game manager script, you will see that you have left option text and right option text. Drag the left number into the left option text and drag the right number into the right option text. Now when we play the game, you can see that the question number was randomly generated and the left number and right number were also randomly generated. Now let me talk about an issue that we have currently that we're going to fix in the next video with code. As you can see, it says pick a number less than 4. Both 1 and 2 are less than 4. We're going to go over one way how to fix that option. We're going to use while and if statements to help us solve this, because we want one number to be less than 4 and the other number to be greater than or equal to 4.